Good morning. My name is Karika Middelberg and I'm an analyst here at the CRA. Today we are going to discuss the automotive industry in South Africa, specifically focusing on the 25% tariff that the US President Donald Trump has recently announced, as well as the consequences this will entail for South Africa, but also globally. Joining me today is our CRA Executive Director, Chris Hutting, who will partake in our conversation. Chris, welcome to the channel.
Hi, Karika. Thanks very much. Good to chat with you again. And I think something very important we're going to talk about today, not just for the automotive sector, but for the South African economy as a whole, given how many jobs, of course, the sector provides in South Africa.
Yes. So firstly, if we could just kick off and begin the discussion. Like I said previously, this 25% tariff has been announced by the US. So if we look at the immediate consequences of what that would hold for South Africa, and then also for touching a bit on the economy and the industry, what is the immediate consequences that you think will happen with this tariff?
The biggest negative consequence is delayed investments and delayed possibly job creation. Why I say that is just the heightened uncertainty around the tariffs and how they will be implemented. So, of course, President Trump, as we record and at the time of the publication of this video, reciprocal tariffs by President Trump and the US have been put on hold until the 9th of July. But there is a universal baseline tariff of 10%. So, for example, the 31% reciprocal tariff that was announced on South Africa, on South African imports to the US, that is on pause until the 9th of July. And you add to that yet more uncertainty, where in the past week, we're recording on the 2nd of May. So earlier this week, President Trump also announced a whole range of compromises that he said would address concerns from US vehicle manufacturers, where they said they can't find local suppliers of imported components, of imported auto components at such short notice. So even there, you've got the 25% tariff on auto imports, you've got the 31% tariff on South African imports, but then again, now talk of a compromise being reached and some sort of delay. We, of course, hope that these tariffs, the 25% auto tariffs, aren't implemented or at the very least lessened. But the fact that they're in the background and that they could now come into force on the 9th of July in a sort of hard, long-term way means for auto manufacturers in South Africa, and we include here European companies like Volkswagen, Mercedes, BMW, that manufacture vehicles or components of vehicles that are then assembled elsewhere and exported to the US. This adds to the range of long-term uncertainty for them. So in that space, number one, you need to make investments for the long term. You need to employ people, you need to upskill people and allocate your resources accordingly to export both to your domestic market and to the region, and of course to important export markets like the US and other places. But also secondly, you need to think about competition from other companies. How are you dealing with that? Can you take advantage of where gaps are emerging for you to seize, as it were? And then just maybe the third item to keep in mind in this particular context is, how are you working with the government in which your company is operating? So given this heightened uncertainty, what support are you being given by the government? And if you aren't, and if some of the other policies in the environment in which you operate are such that they increase the cost of manufacturing or the cost of investing in a country like South Africa, perhaps then your global headquarters asks the question, maybe they should relocate elsewhere. So longer term, I think here, especially negative effects for South African automotive manufacturing, especially, and that of course has the downstream effect in terms of basic employment numbers and economic growth.
Yes, and those are very important factors to keep in mind, especially I think, as you mentioned, the long-term economic consequences, but also the ripple effect that this has on the wider economy. I mean, no such thing can be strictly confined to one sector. If we think about, competition from China and this wider, almost ideological battle between China and the US, do you think tariffs such as these encourage countries like South Africa to engage more with China, because these tariffs, make it more difficult to sell South African products on the American market? So you could say almost in a way that through these tariffs, the US is pushing countries like South Africa into the arms of China. So how would you say, what would you think of the long-term consequences, or not even long-term, but now the short and medium term of Chinese competition, and especially with the manufacturing of cars and the automotive industry?
Yeah, I wanted to drill down specifically in the competition from Chinese manufacturers for South African / European auto manufacturers. If we just look at data from, in terms of what comes in from China into South Africa in the automotive space, we had, for example, data last year, so in 2024, in the second quarter of last year, 2/3 of the 20 best-selling passenger cars in South Africa were manufactured in India. So Mahindra, for example, sells as many vehicles in South Africa as Nissan, while GWM, which includes Haval, Chery, and Omoda, they sell as many vehicles as Volkswagen, around 4,700 to 4,800. So competition from both India and China already well established in the South African market. You've got where many South Africans, consumers, under a lot of strain in terms of less growth, less real GDP per capita growth, which means they've got less money to spend on vehicles. They'll cut back on some of that spending. Either they're going to shift to a different brand, so they're going to shift to some of the Indian or Chinese brands, or they're going to shift to second-hand vehicles, where, for example, here we look at the specific data point of We Buy Cars, and they expect their earnings to increase by more than 100%. And that's on the back of, they see South Africans shifting more to the second-hand vehicle market. So you've already got the reality of more competition from China and India. South African consumers under a lot of strain, and given our growth prospects, that's not going to change anytime soon. The IMF, for example, projects only 1% growth for South Africa this year. Short to medium term, I think arguably a bigger concern for South African auto manufacturers is the competition from China and India, where lots of the vehicles that are coming in are, in some cases, cheaper than their European South African alternatives. And South Africans, maybe that brand loyalty to things like Volkswagen, Ford, a few others, maybe that brand loyalty isn't as strong as it used to be. So the South African auto sector, I think, finds itself in a perfect storm in a way. You've got the uncertainty around the tariffs. You've got the possibility that higher tariffs on South African exports to the US will be brought in from the 9th of July, coupled with already domestically in the domestic market, Chinese and Indian brands getting more and more of a foothold and providing strong competition to those South African / European auto manufacturers. I think we're underestimating this challenge for the automotive sector in South Africa.
No, I definitely agree, and I especially agree with your statement about we are in a perfect storm at the moment, and especially if we consider the news cycle that have developed around this announcement. There was a lot of calls made for what is the government going to do now to protect this industry, and one of the largest things that we saw from Minister Parks Tau was to further increase government support through their various trade and protective programs they have, which I think is just important to highlight that, like we have said in previous discussions as well, that government mustn't extend their support so much that these industries become too reliant on government, and in turn it makes them globally less competitive. So I think that's just an important note or idea for government and the industry to keep in mind, is to not become, as you can say, codependent on each other, that these sectors can't function anymore. Do you have anything to say on government support for these industries and how government is going to handle this tariff announcement?
I think what you've highlighted is exactly correct. The South African automotive industry has benefited from subsidies and other forms of support from the government for many years, especially under former DTIC Minister Ibrahim Patel. But even with that support, we reached a point globally where things are more uncertain and volatile. And even now, those companies can't compete on a so-called equal footing. Now, that isn't to say that one shouldn't look at it case by case, where you can do targeted tariffs or then targeted subsidies to support local industry, especially things that are more important or give you some kind of competitive advantage in the global trade space. The risk is, of course, the sort of perverse incentives that it benefits those companies that already have access to politicians and to bureaucrats. They lobby for those protections, and it ultimately costs their sectors or their industries as a whole. So I think if there is now other forms of support, they must be targeted. There must be sort of sunset clauses or things like that. They must be timed very well. They must just be a lot more strict, I think, and focus on certain conditions. Also, to sort of piggyback off analysis that has been done by the XA Global Trade Advisors, a think tank focused very much on the trade space. They've developed a sort of system of looking at industrial policy. And if you're going to have industrial policy as a government, at the bottom of your pyramid, you need to make sure that things like crime and security, service delivery, water, electricity, logistics, those are taken care of. If they aren't, and you pour money into the top of the pyramid, into things like subsidies, localization, master plans, you're throwing that money away, because companies are going to have to use that to shore up the service delivery shortcomings that government doesn't provide, that they need to protect their employees, they need to buy generators, they need to find alternative water supply, all of that kind of thing. So the best thing at the moment government can do is focus on being an actual capable government, focusing on delivering the services it should to auto manufacturers in South Africa, that the ports are functional, that the railways support them. That'll make them, already help them from a globally competitive point of view. Just a last point before I hand back to you on your previous question, I did forget to mention on the challenges that the South African auto sector is facing. Should the US maintain high tariffs against China, maybe not 145%, but coming down to 100% or lower on at least some Chinese goods, there's a very real possibility that those goods are going to be redirected to other markets, and they could then be redirected to a place like South Africa. So if you talk about South African autos already being under pressure from China, if they can't now export some of those vehicles or components or related elements, and in other industries, in agriculture, etc., and consumer goods to the US, those Chinese goods, components, etc., they could very well be redirected to South Africa and other countries in the region. And I hope the South African government, businesses and industry are adequately prepared for that.
Yes, I think that, like you say, is a very important point to mention. And then previously with the previous question, or the last question, I think in the end, everything comes back to basics, making sure that everything is functioning as it should. So thank you. That was Chris Hattingh on the discussion of the automotive tariffs that the US President Donald Trump has imposed. If you are a CRA subscriber, please subscribe to the channel to see our weekly videos and other content. But then if you are not a CRA client, please reach out to me or Chris for further inquiries about becoming a client. Thank you. Have a lovely day.